People always say your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. Mine started that way. It ended with my own mother screaming that I wasn't her daughter anymore. And less than 2 weeks later, she admitted in court that she'd been lying to me for almost 27 years. My name is Emma. I'm 27, born and raised in Ohio, and until my wedding day, I believed my mom was just difficult, strict, controlling, judgmental, the kind of woman who always had an opinion about everything. If my hair was too short, she complained. If I got promoted, she reminded me someone else deserved it more. If I bought a new car, she'd ask why I was wasting money. Nothing I ever did was enough. My dad used to joke, "Your mom just wants the best for you." Looking back, that wasn't true. She wanted control. The moment I stopped letting her control me, everything fell apart. I met my fiancé, Jake, 3 years before the wedding. He was the exact opposite of my family. Easygoing, funny, the kind of guy who could make friends in a grocery store line. My mom hated him from day one. "He'll leave you. He doesn't come from money. He's beneath you." Jake would laugh it off. I guess I'm winning if that's the worst she can say. I wish that had been the worst. Planning the wedding became a nightmare. Mom wanted everything her way. She picked dresses I hated. She invited people I'd never met. She even tried changing the venue without telling us. Every time I said no, she'd act like I was attacking her personally. Finally, I stopped asking for her opinion. That made her furious. The morning of the wedding, she walked into the bridal suite while my bridesmaids were helping me into my dress. It was simple, elegant, exactly what I'd dreamed of. Everyone smiled, except her. Her face turned cold. "What is that?" "My wedding dress." "You look cheap." The room went silent. One bridesmaid nervously laughed, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. "You are not walking down that aisle wearing this." I looked at her. "Mom, this is the dress I picked." She stepped closer. "I paid for your first dress. I didn't ask you to. You embarrassed this family." Then, she slapped me. Hard. The entire room froze. You could have heard a pin drop. She pointed at me and yelled, "No daughter of mine wears that." Then she walked out. No apology. Nothing. My makeup artist started crying before I did. Jake heard what happened and came running upstairs. He looked at the red mark on my face. "We're calling the cops." I shook my head. "No. I just want to get married." So we did. The ceremony was beautiful, despite the empty seat where my mother should have been. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. 3 days later, I got served with court papers. My own mother was suing me. She claimed I'd manipulated her into paying thousands for a wedding she'd been excluded from. She wanted every dollar back. I laughed at first. Then I realized she was serious. Jake looked at me and said, "This isn't about money. She's trying to punish you." He was right. Our lawyer started gathering documents. Receipts, emails, messages. That's when something strange appeared. There were bank transfers from an account I'd never seen before. Payments made for my education. Medical bills. Even my first apartment. The account wasn't my mom's. It wasn't my dad's either. The name on it belonged to someone called Margaret Lawson. None of us knew who that was. Our attorney hired an investigator. A week later, everything changed. Margaret Lawson wasn't a stranger. She was my biological grandmother. My real mother's mother? I stared at the report for almost an hour. "What are you talking about?" My attorney quietly slid another paper toward me. An adoption record. My name, my birthday, everything matched. I had never legally been my mother's biological child. I had been adopted. Nobody had ever told me. Not once. When I confronted Dad, he broke down crying. "I wanted to tell you years ago. Your mother wouldn't let me. She said if you knew, you'd leave us." I couldn't breathe. Every childhood memory suddenly felt fake. The woman who constantly reminded me I wasn't good enough had hidden the biggest truth of my life. The lawsuit reached court the following week. Mom looked confident walking in, like she'd already won. Her lawyer argued she'd spent over $40,000 on the wedding. Then our attorney stood up. He introduced the adoption records. The courtroom went completely silent. Mom's face changed instantly. The judge asked, "Mrs. Carter, did your daughter know she was adopted?" She didn't answer. "Mrs. Carter?" "Finally," she whispered. "No." The judge frowned. "Why?" She stared at the floor. Then something happened I never expected. She started crying. Not fake tears. Real ones. I was afraid. I couldn't have children. When we adopted Emma, I promised I'd never let anyone take her away. She wiped her face. But every time she became more independent, I panicked. I thought she'd find her real family, and I'd lose her. The courtroom stayed silent. She looked directly at me. I kept trying to control you because control felt safer than love. I told myself I was protecting our family. I wasn't. I was protecting my fear. Then she admitted she'd filed the lawsuit hoping I'd come back and beg for forgiveness. Instead, she'd destroyed what little relationship we had left. The judge dismissed her lawsuit. Completely. He also ordered her to pay our legal fees because the case had been filed in bad faith. Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded around us. Mom walked past every microphone without saying a word. She looked smaller somehow, like years of pretending had finally caught up with her. A month later, I received a letter. Not an email, not a text. A handwritten letter. It simply said, "I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope one day you'll remember the moments when I truly loved you." Because they were real, even if I buried them beneath my own fear. I'm sorry. Mom! I cried reading it. Not because everything was fixed. It wasn't. Some damage doesn't disappear. Jake asked if I wanted to reply. I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and said, maybe someday. 6 months later, I met Margaret, my biological grandmother. She wasn't rich. She wasn't glamorous. She was just an elderly woman who'd spent decades wondering where her granddaughter had gone. We talked for hours. She showed me photos. Pictures of my biological mother, who had passed away shortly after giving birth. For the first time in my life, I understood where my smile came from, my laugh, even my stubbornness. I realized something that day. Family isn't defined by blood or by paperwork. It's defined by honesty, by trust, by the people who choose to love you without trying to own you. My mom eventually admitted the truth in court. But the real confession wasn't about the adoption. It was about fear. Fear had turned love into control. Control had turned into manipulation. And manipulation nearly cost her everything. As for me, I finally got the family I'd always wanted. Not because it was perfect, but because it was finally built on the truth.